In my past life, my childhood fiancé tricked me. He used me like a blood bag. When my future was nothing but darkness, he became the first college student in our village, bringing glory to his family. He promised me that after he graduated, he would marry me. During those 4 years, I worked tirelessly taking care of his elderly relatives, breaking my back to earn money for his tuition. I endured everything, only to receive the news that he had died in an accident. I cried until I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I gritted my teeth and continued supporting his family. Decades later, I buried his blind and paralyzed mother. My black hair had long turned white. When Ethan Carter, now a famous entrepreneur, returned to our hometown and stopped by the village monument, he saw me, old and withered, standing at the gate. His expression grew complicated. He turned to his granddaughter and said earnestly, "Emily, a woman must respect herself. Don't be like her, giving herself to a man so easily, shamelessly throwing herself at him." His wife, the daughter of the county mayor, stood beside him, covering her mouth as she laughed gleefully. That was when I finally understood. Ethan had already climbed the ladder to a wealthy family back then, yet he still tricked me into giving him my body and willingly becoming his scapegoat. Rage surged in me. I grabbed the walking stick beside me and tried to fight him with all I had, but he struck me back, pushing me hard against the stone pillar. I died from the impact. When I opened my eyes again, I saw 18-year-old Ethan, his eyes red as he fumbled with the buttons on my shirt. I slapped him across the face. In my past life, I let him deceive me, and I ended up orphaned, miserable, and broken. But this time, I still had the chance to change everything. "Lily," he said, "I really like you. Give yourself to me. When the time comes, we'll go to college together and never be apart. Can you believe in me?" Only when I heard those familiar words echoing in my ear did I truly confirm I had been reborn. Reborn to the night Ethan tried to take my virginity. Ethan and I had grown up together. His family was poor. His father was born disabled and was constantly away. When Ethan was 10, his mother fell off a cliff while gathering pigweed on the mountain and became paralyzed. From then on, he became a wild, neglected child. During the years he should have been growing strong, he often didn't know where his next meal would come from. He was so hungry that sometimes he couldn't even walk straight. My family wasn't wealthy either, but at least my parents were healthy and we got by. After his mother became paralyzed, my dad took pity on him and often invited him over to eat. Every time he came, my parents would bring out eggs and white bread rolls, things they usually saved for special occasions, to feed him. Slowly, he started to recover. Ethan and I were the same age and in the same class. Because of our family's close ties, we gradually became closer too. The adults would often tease us, saying they should arrange a childhood betrothal between us. At that age, it was easy to be influenced by those jokes and think we truly liked each other. I began to blush whenever I saw Ethan. I thought he was handsome. When we were 16, a boy from class 0 asked me out to see a movie. Ethan, out of jealousy, kissed me. That was when we officially got together. We made a promise to take the college entrance exams together, to leave our little village behind. During our senior year, the county mayor's daughter, Olivia, transferred to our school to prepare for the college exams. She ended up sitting next to Ethan. Normally warm and easygoing, Ethan, for some reason, constantly clashed with Olivia. I was too naive to understand that this kind of behavior between a boy and a girl could actually be flirting. As time went on, Ethan and Olivia grew closer, and he started to distance himself from me. Until 1 month before the exams, tonight, Ethan suddenly came to find me and said those words. I had just gone through the pain of being ignored by him, the torment of missing him deeply. When he said he wanted to marry me, I was so overwhelmed with joy that I nearly cried. I let him pull me into the cornfield and unbutton my shirt. The dry corn stalks scratched my skin, making it red and itchy. I felt terribly uncomfortable, but even so, still, I clung tightly to him. At 17 or 18, boys don't have much self-control. From that day on, Ethan started looking for every opportunity to get physically close to me. Later, during the college entrance exams, I fainted in the exam room. That was when I found out I was pregnant. My parents were so furious they nearly passed out. But by that point, there was nothing they could do except accept it. Ethan knelt by my bedside, swearing he would marry me after he graduated from college. From that day forward, I saw myself as part of his family. I took care of his parents while working hard to help earn money for his tuition. I gritted my teeth and endured 4 long years. And then, he died. But later, I learned the truth. That day, he hadn't actually died. It was just that the county mayor was about to be promoted and, before leaving, had agreed to let Ethan marry his daughter. The only condition was that Ethan had to sever all ties with his own family. He couldn't bear to abandon his blind father and paralyzed mother. So he thought of me, the fool. He knew I loved him, that I dreamed of marrying him. So he tricked me into sleeping with him. Got me pregnant so I couldn't take the college exams, forcing me to stay in the village and take care of his parents for the rest of my life. The moment I thought of all the suffering I endured in my previous life, a surge of anger exploded in my chest. I slapped him hard across the face. Ethan, who had been fumbling with my buttons, was caught completely off guard. He clutched his face and shouted angrily, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I gave a cold laugh. "On the contrary," I said, "this is the clearest I've ever been, across 2 lifetimes." I buttoned up my shirt, staring at him with icy calm. He seemed uneasy under my gaze, guilt flickering across his face. Then he plastered on a sheepish smile and came closer again. "Lily, was I too rough just now? Did I hurt you? I'm sorry. I just couldn't help myself. You know I've always liked you." I had to admit, Ethan might have been a terrible person, but that face of his was undeniably attractive. Especially his fox-like eyes, always full of emotion when he looked at someone. In my past life, it was those eyes that had completely bewitched me. But now, all I could think of was the look in those same eyes decades later, when he saw I had truly spent my whole life waiting for him. That complicated expression, shock, disdain, disgust, and yet a hint of smug satisfaction. As if he were saying, "See, I'm just that charming. One casual promise, and a woman wasted her entire life for me." I didn't even want to look at his face. I didn't want to say another word to him. I stood up, brushed the corn leaves off my clothes, and warned him clearly and firmly, "Ethan Carter, cut the fake act. If you keep pestering me, I'll report you for harassment." Ethan could feel something was different. If anything, it was the way I looked at him, completely changed. Gone was the infatuation that used to shine so obviously in my eyes. Now there was only disgust. That realization made him restless and strangely panicked. He thought he must have rushed things too much and scared me. It was fine, he told himself. I was stupid. He could just sweet-talk me, and I'd come crawling back like always. He curled his finger slightly, already imagining me leaning in again. But what I'd just told him wasn't an empty threat. Right now, public conduct was taken very seriously. If anyone found out I had been alone with him out here, no explanation would clear my name. I still had to take the college entrance exams. I couldn't let this worthless man ruin my life again. Just as I stepped out of the cornfield, a figure suddenly blocked my path. She stood there with hands on her hips, eyes full of jealousy and rage. "You shameless girl! Sneaking into the cornfield with Ethan Carter. I'm going to report you to the teacher." It was Leela Chen, from my village, one of my love rivals in my previous life. She'd liked Ethan too, and because he was close to me, she constantly picked on me. But it was also this same girl who, in my last life, when I fainted during the exam, was the first to rush over and drape her jacket over me. After Ethan died and I was struggling through the hardest days of my life, she was the one who quietly tossed me a $10 bill. Now, seeing her youthful face again, it finally hit me. This was real. I had truly been reborn. My nose stung. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I reached out and hugged her. In her past life, Lila didn't have it easy. Her family only valued sons. She had to hold a knife to her throat just to make her parents let her finish the college entrance exam. After the college entrance exams, Lila ended up marrying a disabled bachelor from the neighboring village. Because of his crippled leg, his mind became twisted. A teacher once hit him, and eventually he couldn't take it anymore. He jumped into the river and ended his life. She was completely caught off guard by my sudden hug. It took her a while before she stammered out, "Lily, what's gotten into you?" I had been reborn for less than an hour, and already 2 people had asked me if I was crazy. I laughed and let go of her, tugging her hand and playfully pleading, Lila, don't report me. I swear I won't go into the cornfield with Ethan again. There are men outside this mountain who are 100, no, 1,000 times better than Ethan Carter. Let's go see them together. Lila froze right there on the spot, stunned. After a long pause, she pointed at me like she'd seen a ghost. You've lost it, Lily. You've completely lost your mind. I just smiled and watched her walk away. I didn't chase her. I was already planning to talk to her properly tomorrow and convince her to take the college entrance exam with me. She was a good person. She didn't deserve to end up so tragically. I kept walking toward home, and the closer I got to the house, the warmer and more nostalgic I felt. In my past life, my parents were the ones who suffered the most because of me. People pointed fingers at them for years, and they still had to help me care for Ethan's disabled parents. They passed away in quiet misery. That was one of the deepest pains in my heart. When I pushed open the door, Mom was just bringing a steaming pot of chicken to the table. She smiled and said to Dad, "Didn't I say our daughter has good fortune? The chicken's ready, and here she is, right on time." Dad sat at the table, chuckling in agreement. My eyes grew misty. I couldn't remember the last time I saw a moment like this. I walked forward and buried my face into my mom's shoulder. She paused, then turned to look at Dad with a teasing smile. "Oh my, our daughter's acting spoiled now." Even though she said that, she pulled me into her arms more tightly. "Are you too tired from school? If it's too much, you can take a break. There's not a single college student in our whole village. We don't have to push you so hard." Quietly, I wiped my tears on her shoulder and replied stubbornly, "No, I have to go to college." In my previous life, not getting into college was always my greatest regret. In countless sleepless nights that followed, the exam paper from that year became my only comfort. I pored over it again and again. No one knows better than me what the college entrance exam covers. This time, I will outperform Ethan Carter. Seeing my determination, my parents smiled. "All right, our girl will definitely get in." A wave of warmth rose in my heart. No matter how many lives I live, I will always be grateful to have these two as my parents. In this mountain village that favors sons over daughters, they faced all the gossip and chose to have just one daughter, me. No matter what I wanted to do, they always gritted their teeth and stood behind me. I will get into college, and I'll repay them properly. "Let's eat, Lily. Go get Ethan, too. He should have a good meal for once," Mom said. I rolled my eyes and pulled out a chair to sit down. "I'm not calling him Mom. Our life has finally improved a little. Why would we invite an outsider over?" My parents were surprised. "You've always liked Ethan, haven't you?" Dad asked. "Whenever we had something good to eat, you'd save it for him. What's going on with you today?" I pouted. "That's because I was blind back then." Dad assumed we were having a little fight and was about to say something to comfort me. Mom was about to ask more when we heard footsteps outside. A moment later, Ethan pushed open the door and walked in. "Hey, Ethan," Mom called cheerfully. "Have you eaten yet? I was just telling Lily to go get you." It was the mid-1990s. Most rural families were still quite poor. A chicken dinner was considered a real luxury. Ethan looked at the chicken on the table and swallowed hard. But because I didn't even glance at him, he felt awkward and turned to my parents with a forced smile. "Uncle, Auntie, I already ate. I just came to ask Lily to help wash my mom." Since Ethan was a boy, it was inconvenient for him to bathe his paralyzed mother. In my past life, after we got together, I volunteered to take on that responsibility. At first, she'd smile warmly while holding my hand and say, "My son is lucky to have found such a kind and hard-working girl like you. He must have saved a whole lifetime's worth of blessings." But once her son got into college, her real nature came out. No matter how much I scrubbed, cleaned, or cared for her, she never treated me with a kind face again. This time around, I'm done playing the obedient little caretaker. I treated Ethan Carter's words like nothing but hot air. Sitting at the table, I helped myself to a chicken drumstick, savoring every bite. The flavor was so rich I nearly cried on the spot. Counting both this life and the last, it had been years since I tasted real meat, let alone my mom's home-cooked chicken. After finishing, I licked my fingers and declared, "Whoever wants to go can go. I'm not doing it." "Lily? Is that how you talk to Ethan?" Mom and Dad scolded me for being rude. Ethan, trying to play the nice guy, quickly stepped in. Uncle, Auntie, don't be mad. Lily's just upset with me. I set my chopsticks down and looked Ethan right in the eye. Then why don't you tell my parents exactly why I'm upset with you? He stammered, unable to get a word out. After a moment, he looked at me pleadingly and said, Lily, can we talk outside for a bit? Just the two of us? I thought for a second, then nodded and followed him out. The moment we reached the small grove nearby, he pulled me into his arms. Lily, please stop being like this. I know I was a little impulsive that day, but that's normal. You need to be brave and become a woman of the new era. Come on, be good, go help my mom today. I'll give you some time to cool down. He held me tightly. It was summer, and our clothes were thin. His body had already started reacting. I could feel it. Then I saw the way he looked at me, thinking his gaze was seductive. He thought this was what would melt me. I couldn't take it. Despite trying to hold it back, I dry heaved. He was just too disgusting. I shoved him away hard. What is this, Ethan? You addicted to using me like a blood bank or something? You want to end up arrested for sexual harassment? Then stay the hell away from me. Ethan's face twisted with rage. Lily, you used to melt when I so much as kissed you. And now you're pulling this attitude? Let me tell you, acting all high and mighty is just annoying. His voice was loud. Neighbors nearby heard the commotion and came to look. From the way we were positioned, they thought we were just another couple fighting, so they started to joke around. Lily, what'd you do to upset Ethan? You better fix this, or someone else'll steal him away. He's a soon-to-be college student now. Ethan's face lit up with pride, waiting for me to back down and apologize. But I just sneered. He's nothing but a thankless leech. Anyone who wants him can have him. I don't. I'll get into college on my own. And Ethan Carter, don't you dare come freeloading at our house anymore. You're not welcome. I might as well have said outright that he was mooching off us. Ethan's pride took a huge hit. His face turned dark. You think you can get into college with your grades? Dream on, Lily. I'll be waiting for the day you come crawling back to beg me. With that, he stormed off, looking smug, convinced I'd come running after him like I always had. I sat back down at the dinner table like nothing happened. My parents exchanged puzzled looks. After a moment, they gently tried to talk me down. Ethan's always been good to you, Dad said. You almost drowned in that pond when you were little. He's the one who jumped in to save you. You shouldn't forget that kind of kindness. Those words, don't forget kindness, hit a nerve deep inside me. In my past life, I gave Ethan everything I had. A big part of that was because he once saved my life. But no matter how great a favor is, I paid him back 100 times over by devoting my life to him like some kind of walking blood bank. And let's be honest, if Ethan Carter actually knew what gratitude meant, he never would have treated me so cruelly in the first place. Back then, when news spread that I fainted at the testing site because I was pregnant, it became the talk of the whole region. My future was ruined. I became a laughingstock. My honest, hard-working parents lived out the rest of their lives under the shadow of that shame, humiliated until they both fell ill from the stress. And even after all that, once Ethan promised to marry me, they still welcomed his parents into our home and took care of them like family. Because in their simple worldview, marriage meant we were one family. One family didn't keep score, didn't play games. And besides, they'd watched Ethan grow up. To them, he was like a son. They never could have imagined that some people are rotten to the core. No matter how much love you give them, they'll never warm up. They'll just take advantage of your kindness over and over again. I turned to my parents and said softly, yes, Ethan once saved me, but we've more than returned that favor. Without our help all these years, he wouldn't have even made it through school, let alone thought about college. Whether Ethan could have made it at all was questionable to begin with, so let's not talk about gratitude anymore. After thinking for a moment, I added, besides, he's climbing the social ladder now. He probably doesn't even look twice at our family. Who knows what Ethan said to the mayor's daughter Olivia, but the next day, when I walked into class, I could immediately sense his hostility toward me. I didn't care. To be honest, living through another lifetime had made everyone around me feel like nothing more than immature kids. I had bigger things to worry about now. I handed the study notes I'd pulled together overnight to Leela Chen and quietly told her, "The parts I underlined are key. Memorize them well. They might show up on the exam." Lila looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. "Lily, is your crazy spell not over yet?" I just smiled and shrugged, refusing to argue. I knew she would read them. She had an older brother, and her parents were counting on marrying her off to bring in a dowry for him. She was even more desperate than I was to escape this mountain village. Back in my seat, I started to feel uneasy. Last night, I'd realized I'd overestimated my memory. Even though I'd flipped through that college entrance exam paper 100 times in my past life, my memory had gotten worse with age. I couldn't remember everything clearly anymore. Right now, the most urgent task was to reacquaint myself with the textbooks. All day long, except for meals and bathroom breaks, I barely left my seat. Still, I could feel several hostile stares burning into my back. One came from Olivia, the mayor's daughter. The other was from Ethan. After night study hall, I stopped by the teacher's office to ask a few questions. When I came back, I found my desk soaked in black ink, my textbooks and practice sheets all ruined. My expression darkened instantly. Who did this? The answer was obvious, but Olivia had never needed to get her hands dirty herself. She just sat there at her desk, twirling a strand of her hair like an innocent child. But her eyes couldn't hide the malice. Then a tall, broad-shouldered girl stepped forward. It was Susan Zhang, a classmate from my village. In my past life, she was always picking on me. I never understood why, until now. She was Olivia's lapdog, naturally eager to charge ahead and fight on her behalf. Now she looked down at me and sneered. "So what if I did? Ruined the honor student's books? She's not going to blame me when she doesn't get into Tsinghua, right?" She laughed with a mocking lilt. Laughter rippled around the classroom. "Oh please, like little Miss Genius could ever get into Tsinghua. She's just a village chicken dreaming of being a phoenix. Still talking about college? What a joke." Someone jeered, "Lily, you should be nice to Ethan. Getting him to marry you would be more realistic." Ethan puffed out his chest at that, clearly proud. But with just one glance from Olivia, he immediately shrank back down. My heart filled with disdain. In my past life, was I blind? How did I ever fall for someone so spineless? Someone who clung to power like a dog? I looked around the room. Everyone had the same expression, like they were watching a show, waiting for more drama. It was strange. Most of them came from backgrounds just like mine, at the very bottom of society. You'd think they'd want to climb out too. But no, they were content living in the mud, and they laughed at me for trying to crawl out. The longer I lived in my past life, the clearer it became. The root of suffering for poor people wasn't always poverty itself. It was the self-sabotage deeply ingrained in their bones. Now, with a second chance at life, I already knew from TV and phones and everything else I'd seen that there was a bigger, better world outside this village. For people like us, the college entrance exam was the one and only doorway into that world. I wouldn't let anyone drag me down again. I walked straight up to Susan and asked, "So it was you who poured ink on my desk?" Susan lifted her chin. "Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?" She didn't even finish her sentence before I grabbed the ink-soaked textbook off my desk and slammed it into her face. "If you ruined it, then it's yours." She wasn't prepared at all. The book hit her squarely in the nose and blood started dripping down to her chin. Only then did she come to her senses, holding her face and crying. Everyone around us froze, shocked. In my past life, I'd done all kinds of dirty, exhausting work to help pay for Ethan's college tuition. I'd built up more than enough strength. I hit Susan Zhang in the face on purpose. I wanted to send a message to everyone. Don't test me. I once heard a line that stuck with me. Dignity only exists at the edge of a blade, and truth only exists within range of a cannon. With just 1 month left before the college entrance exam, if I wanted peace, the only way was to use my fists to shut them up. I swept my gaze across the classroom, looking each person in the eye as I spoke slowly and clearly. I know you all think me wanting to get into college is just a fool's dream. I don't care what you think or what you say. If you're content rotting in this pit forever, go ahead. But don't drag me down with you. I just want to study in peace this month. I don't want trouble, and I won't start it. But if anyone comes looking for it, I've got strength and plenty of ways to use it. If you're not afraid to get hurt, Be my guest. The classroom fell dead silent. Everyone who had mocked me earlier now kept their mouths shut. But Olivia couldn't sit still any longer. She slammed her desk and stood up. Lily, this is a classroom, not a place for violence and threats. Look what you've done to Susan. As class president, I demand that you apologize to her. I turned to Olivia and sneered. Oh, now you suddenly care about what's going on. Where were you when she deliberately targeted me? Olivia's eyebrows shot up. She crossed her arms and scoffed. And who saw her do that? Ask anyone here. They only saw you get violent. As soon as she said that, every single head in the room dropped. No one dared meet my eyes. That's how it is. Hierarchies exist everywhere, even in a high school classroom. Everyone knew Olivia was the mayor's daughter, untouchable. And I was just a nobody from the dirt, someone easy to trample on. Ethan stared at me, his eyes unfocused like he was seeing me for the first time. He'd never seen me like this before. There was a kind of quiet power in the way I stood my ground, like I could face down an entire army without blinking. That calm defiance sent chills through him. Not out of fear, but from a kind of admiration he didn't understand. Seeing Olivia step up, he thought I might suffer for it, so he tried to smooth things over. Lily, just listen to Olivia, okay? Apologize to Susan, and we'll all move on. No need to bring this to the teacher. I saw it. Susan poured the ink on your books first. But before he could finish, a loud voice came from the back. I turned and saw Lila Chen pushing through the crowd toward me. She walked to my side, turned to face the classroom, and said, "Sorry, but I'm not staying in this pit with you people anymore. Starting today, I'm with Lily." Lila was infamous in the village for her temper. She once pulled a knife on her own father. No one in class dared mess with her. Olivia laughed coldly. "And what, you think throwing around tough words will get you into college? You better hope you don't fail, or it's gonna be real embarrassing." I looked at her, mimicking her smug expression. "And what if we do get in?" Olivia looked like she just heard the joke of the century. "If you two actually get into college, I'll get on my knees and call you Grandma 3 times, I grinned. "With a mouth like yours, I wouldn't want to shorten my life by hearing it. Here's a better idea. If we get in, you and Ethan stand at the village loudspeaker and shout, 'I'm an idiot' 3 times. Deal?" Olivia scoffed. "Fine. But if you don't get in, you have to kneel and call me Grandma 3 times. Lila snorted. "Make it 10 times. And if he gets in," she jerked her thumb toward me, "you shout it 3 times a day for 3 days straight. Deal?" "Deal. Whoever backs out," I added, "won't eat a full meal with 3 dishes for the rest of their life." With that, I grabbed Lila's hand and marched out of the classroom. Behind us, Ethan stared at my back, completely dazed, not snapping out of it for a long time. Behind the school, past the grove of trees, there was a river. Back then, the water hadn't been polluted yet. You could still wash your face or rinse your laundry right from the current. Now, Lila and I squatted side by side at the riverbank. Lila was scrubbing at the black ink stains on her hands, but her movements were sluggish and distracted. After all the bold talk, reality seemed to hit her. "Crap! What have I done?" she muttered. "I must have gone nuts following you like that. I'm always at the bottom of the class. How the hell did I have the guts to brag about going to college too?" she sighed. "Maybe I should go start practicing how to call Olivia Grandma now." I couldn't help but laugh. Hey, that's a hell of a way to crush someone's spirit. Come on, Lila. Since we've already said it, we're gonna see it through. I'll find a way to back up the talk. I'll blow that cow of a promise so big it flies. I gave her a sideways grin. "You believe in me or not?" she snorted. "Believe in you? You've always had worse grades than me. Where's all this confidence coming from? Unless you've got some magic power to predict the exam questions." I looked straight at her. "And what if I actually do?" Lila froze for a moment, clearly stunned. I was about to laugh it off and tell her I was joking, but then her expression shifted. She wrapped her arms around herself and whispered, "I believe you?" Now it was my turn to be surprised. She didn't look at me. Instead, she kept speaking. "Honestly, I've been having the same dream over and over. It's so vivid it doesn't even feel like a dream. I dreamed I didn't get into college. My parents married me off to a cripple. He beat me constantly. At first, I fought back, but a woman's strength can't match a man's forever. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I jumped into the river. That river behind our village. The water was so cold, so cold. She hugged herself tighter, shivering like she could still feel the chill. I didn't expect her to remember anything from her past life, but this, she was describing it perfectly. I stepped forward and hugged her. It's okay. It was just a dream. None of it's real. She took a deep breath and went on. I saw you in the dream too. You didn't have it any better. You always looked worn out, always giving in, like life had drained you. But last night, when I saw you again, I knew something had changed. You were different. So I started wondering, maybe those dreams really were our past life. Maybe the heavens saw how badly we had it and gave us another chance. I looked at her young, still soft face. She was so full of life. Lila had died in her early 20s in our last life, far too young. I couldn't tell her the truth about my rebirth, but I held her tightly and said, Lila, trust me. This time around, we're going to have a good ending. I promise. She stared at me, dazed for a moment, then slowly nodded. There are no secrets in a village. It didn't take long for the news to spread. Lila and I were going to take the college entrance exam. And just like that, we became the village joke. Wherever we went, we were followed by jeers and snide remarks. Well, the village's college girls are back. Don't step on the road too hard now. It's been blessed by the feet of future scholars. Oh no, they're walking on our path. Can we still use it after the smart girls have stepped on it? Relax. They'll fix it up for us. Our future college students will pave it into a nice, shiny Mayu road. The villagers weren't educated. They didn't know how to say asphalt, and instead said Mayu, which literally meant horse oil. Lila would blush bright red, keeping her head down as she walked. I'd gently pat her back and say, chin up. Look at every one of their faces. Remember them. When we get our acceptance letters, we'll slap them right across their mouths with them. She took a deep breath. I'd hate to waste the letter like that. What if it's from Tsinghua? I laughed. Now you're dreaming too. Rumors can crush people, but two people standing side by side, that's enough to carry the weight. Sometimes when we passed the Carter house, we'd run into Ethan's blind father and paralyzed mother. Just one cough from the old woman, and both of them would turn to spit in our direction. Literally. As they spat, they'd mutter, ungrateful girl, shameless, or who raised you? Then Ethan would step outside, pretending to reason with them. Mom, Dad, Lily's just lost her way. Give her time. One day she'll come begging for your forgiveness. He always wore that same smug look, like he knew I wouldn't pass, that I'd come crawling back to him eventually. Ugh. Let Ethan keep dreaming his big dreams. Sometimes Lila would sigh and say, going to college and being with Ethan Carter don't actually conflict. Are you really sure you don't like him at all anymore? I didn't want to talk about everything that had happened between Ethan and me in our past life, so I just shook my head and teased. Don't forget, we're supposed to be going out there to see all the real men the world has to offer. During that time, Lila and I studied day and night. She stopped going home after school to help her family cut pigweed, which made her parents furious. They yelled that she was too ambitious for her own good, and threw her things out of the house, forbidding her from coming home to eat. I quietly snuck her into my house. The eggs and white bread buns that I used to save for Ethan now went straight into Lila's stomach. Her parents thought that starving their daughter for a few meals would scare her into giving up and coming home. But to their surprise, not only did she not lose weight, she actually looked healthier than before. When they found out it was my parents who had taken her in, they started showing up every few days to make veiled jabs at my mom and dad. No wonder you can't have a son, her mother said once. Turns out your heart's twisted. You couldn't raise a boy of your own, so now you're spoiling someone else's daughter. Lila's eyes went red with anger. She wanted to storm out and argue with them, but my parents held her back. Don't waste your breath on short-sighted people like that, my mom said calmly. Focus on your studies. When you make real money, you can slap them in the face with it and shut them up. Lila sniffled, then laughed through her tears. You really are my family. Everyone's always trying to hit someone in the face around here. My mom laughed and scooped an extra chunk of braised pork onto each of our plates. Eat up, both of you, then go right back to your books. Lila lowered her head and swallowed the meat along with her tears. We joked, but the truth was, we were both nervous about the exam, especially me. In my past life, I had fainted during the very first section of the test. I had no memory of what the actual exam was like, and for Lila, this was technically her first college entrance exam. Just as tension was already running high, Ethan Carter decided to make things worse. He waited until Olivia was out on leave and cornered me in an abandoned classroom on campus. The look in his eyes was dark and dangerous. And after what I'd been through in my last life, I knew exactly what that expression meant. My stomach turned. I backed away, keeping my eyes locked on him. "What do you want, Ethan?" He gave me that disgusting smile. "Lily, don't be like that. You weren't this cold before. He used to be so sweet. Remember how you'd close your eyes the moment I kissed you? But hey, I like this version of you too. This fire in your eyes, it really turns me on." As he spoke, he started walking toward me. It was summer, and the heat mixed with the smell of his sweat and the stifling scent of his body. I felt nauseous. "If you're so horny, go find Olivia," I snapped. "Stop disgusting me." I said it to make him realize that I knew about him and Olivia, to let him know I wasn't clueless anymore. But he completely misread it. He thought I was jealous. "Oh," he smirked, "so that's why you're suddenly rejecting me. You're jealous." My brows tightened. He lunged forward and grabbed me, breathing heavily as he tried to kiss me. "Lily?" he gasped. "Olivia's dad's getting promoted. He can help my future, but she means nothing. It's just for show. You're the one I really like." His hot breath was on my skin, and the revulsion surged again. I struggled with all my strength, but he clung to me like tar. His hands were already moving, sliding down from my collar toward my chest. The memories of how he'd ruined me in my past life flooded back. Was I really going to repeat the same fate? No. I refused. Just as I was reaching the brink of despair, the classroom door burst open with a loud crash. Lila came flying in, wielding a mop. She caught Ethan off guard and smacked him hard across the back. He winced in pain, startled. In that split second, I raised my knee and slammed it into his groin. Ethan let out a strangled scream. Lila and I took the chance and bolted out of the classroom. We didn't stop running until we were off school grounds. Then Lila spat on the ground. What a bastard. I must have been out of my mind to ever like him. "No way, that was too easy on him," Leela grumbled, rolling up her sleeves again. "I should go back and beat the crap out of him." I quickly stopped her. As much as I hated Ethan Carter, no one hated him more than I did. But the college entrance exam was only a week away. We couldn't afford to get into trouble now. I thought after that mess he'd back off. But instead, Ethan doubled down. For 2 or 3 days straight, he sent me love letters non-stop. Alongside all that nauseating poetry, he kept confessing how sincere his feelings were. He wrote that he and Olivia were just putting on a show, that I was his one true love. I sneered. I'd been looking for a chance to get back at him, and just like that, he handed me all the evidence I needed. The day before the college entrance exam, I bundled up all those letters and slipped them into Olivia's desk. The 2 days of testing flew by. After the last subject, as I walked out of the exam room, I caught Lila's eye across the crowd. We smiled. No words needed. We understood each other completely. My parents were waiting outside the school gates, each holding a bottle of soda for us. People in the village who had once laughed at us were still cracking jokes, but the tone had changed. "Well, the college girls are back," someone chuckled, but there was less mockery in their voices now. They'd seen the way Lila and I had pushed ourselves to the brink in the final month, and even if they couldn't say it outright, a little respect had crept into their eyes. On the walk home, my parents looked distracted, heavy with thought. Once we were inside and the door was shut, they finally pulled us aside, whispering like they were sharing a secret. "Hey, something happened to Ethan. No one knows who he crossed, but he got beat up real bad. He's crippled now, still in the hospital. That's 3 years of hard work down the drain." What a shame. Lila and I glanced at each other. We both knew exactly who did it: Olivia. I had to admit, when I gave her those letters, I had some revenge in mind. But I never expected her to go that far. She didn't just humiliate him, she ended his future. Karma. That's all it was. On the day the exam scores were released, Lila and I waited at the small village convenience shop from early morning. Most of the villagers showed up too, like they were watching a circus. I knew most of them didn't believe we could really make it. We dialed the automated score line and waited. A robotic female voice echoed through the phone. Lily, language 124, math 128, English 132, humanities 236. Total score 620. Lila, language 126, math 117, English 121, humanities 238, total score 612. The moment the scores came through, Lila and I threw our arms around each other. We were speechless. One of the village aunties, seeing our quiet faces, assumed we hadn't done well and started comforting us. It's okay, you did your best. Our village has never had a college student anyway. Maybe the feng shui here's just bad. Before she could finish, Leela and I locked hands, jumped into the air and shouted, "We passed! We got in!" It wasn't just my parents who lit up. Suddenly, the whole village seemed to wake up. "You passed? What was your score?" someone shouted. "Play it again." I redialed the number, and the mechanical voice repeated our scores. My dad tried to pull a cigarette from his pack, but his hands were trembling too much to hold it. I reached over and helped him light one. He took a deep drag and, voice shaking, asked, "What schools can you get into with that score?" Lila and I exchanged a smile. "With these scores, just about any school in the country." My mom covered her mouth, gasping softly. My dad smoked in silence for a moment, then suddenly stood up, puffed his chest, and shouted toward the shop. "Aunt May, bring me your best pack of smokes. My girls got into college. Drinks are on me today." "Coming right up," Aunt May yelled back. The people lounging around outside the store instantly changed their tune. These two really are something else. Always knew they were smart. You can tell even from when they were kids. Guess that old saying's true, a 3-year-old shows who they'll be at 70. In the middle of the joyful crowd, Lila reached out and held my hand. I squeezed hers back tightly. On the day we were set to leave for school, Ethan Carter sent word through my parents. He wanted to see me. I thought about it for a while and decided to go. We hadn't seen each other in 2 months. He looked like a different person now, thin, gloomy, slumped on the bed like his paralyzed mother, with no strength left in him. The room smelled awful. I stood at the doorway, covering my nose, not willing to step any closer. When Ethan saw me, his eyes lit up for a moment. He struggled to sit up and said, "Lily, I finally understand why you hate me so much. I had a dream. It's because I wronged you in our past life, isn't it? I know now. I was wrong. In this life, I'm not with Olivia. Just wait for me. Give me 1 year. I'll get into college. I swear I won't let you down this time." So he remembered the past life. But it didn't matter anymore. I let out a cold laugh. "Ethan Carter, since you remember everything from our past life, what makes you think that after how horribly you hurt me, I'd ever forgive you in this one?" "I wish you were dead." Ethan froze, his face twisted in disbelief. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. Lily, in our past life, you waited half your life for me just because of one promise. You loved me like crazy. I know you did." I reminded him, "Then think harder. If things had followed the same path, it should be you heading off to college right now. And I'd be stuck here clinging to your empty promises, willingly throwing my life away as your blood bank." He paled. Horror crept across his face. He shook his head, refusing to accept it. No, that's not right. Something's wrong." "Lily, what went wrong?" Watching him panic like that, his world shattering right in front of me, it actually felt good. All the pain from my past life seemed to lift off my shoulders in that moment. I finally saw it clearly. I wasn't that pitiful girl anymore. The one who woke up every day thinking she had to carry the Carter family on her back. I stepped out of the house. Lila was waiting not far away. When she heard the door open, she turned and flashed me a bright, brilliant smile. "Ready?" she asked. I smiled back and walked toward her. Not far off, the clouds parted, and sunlight spilled across the path ahead. We both knew the future was finally opening up before us.